she said, well, you know, maybe her attorney thinks this is a good strategy. We wouldn't want to upset things for settling the case.
She's been told to stay away from the story.
Yeah, but you know, she did. She took it, she did it herself, and she's to blame for it. And I will tell you, I will never forgive Amy Goodman for that. And my boyfriend was like in tears. He was weeping. I mean, he was a retired Navy guy. And you guys, you know, Navy guys don't, I mean, you know men, you know, he's like, some men don't cry. He cried. He broke down in tears. And you know, men is hard for some time. For some men, not all men, some men cry. I know that, but he did. He was really upset, and he was just like, she won't do this. And he was just like heartbroken. And he was heartbroken for me. And he was just like, and I was locked up in prison at the time, and I'm on the prison phone. What the fuck do you mean Amy Goodman won't do this? How could she not think this is a right story? What did you say to her to make her not do this story? And he was like, I don't know. I told her. I said, did you say this and this and this? And he said, yeah. So.
Yeah, I heard you on the Jeff Brent's program last week.
Oh, on Libya.
On Libya. So that's very similar, isn't it, to what's happening in Iraq?
There is no reason for the United States to be invading Libya at all. There is no justification for this. It's ironic because we're fighting Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan and Iraq, and Libya is actually, the Libyan rebels are radical Islamists who are trying to institute Sharia. And whether you like Sharia or whether you like the Islam, whether you like Gaddafi or not, see, this is where it gets you're an asset. Whether you like Gaddafi, you may hate him, you may think he's bad, but the facts are that the rebels are Islamic radicals. They do want to institute Sharia, and at least be honest and say it, because that's what you're going to get. And don't pretend you're somewhere else. Don't pretend these are people who are doing something different than what you say. That is what their goal is. And they don't want democracy. Gaddafi has been in power for 41 years, and I know it's time for change, but he has also had a tremendous track record on women's rights. They do not have to wear the abaya. They are free not to get married if they don't want to. They are free to women are free to get divorces if they want. And when we talk about Sharia, what I mean is that the Libyan rebels want the women to wear the burqa. An abaya is the burqa where they cover their hair and stuff. They don't have to do that now. They're going to have to do it in the future. They do not want the women to have the right to reject marriage proposals. Under Gaddafi's government, they have an imam actually visits the women before a marriage and sits with them privately, which is really unheard of, and makes sure that the women are not being pressured into a marriage. And if the young woman says that she is being pressured, the imam is, under the law of Libya, the imam has to protect the woman from the abuse of the relatives. And so he has to give her a chance to reject the marriage when nobody is there to pressure her to do it, because this is what happens in Islamic families.
Is it NATO facing defeat?
Right now, there is a counter-coup going on in Libya, in Benghazi, and there's all kinds of dramatic stuff that's happening. So Gaddafi's
calling in strikes on each other.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's true. So, but it's still, it's you know, so.
Hasn't Gaddafi been a pretty good ally to the West in recent years?
Absolutely.
So why is NATO supporting the rebels if they're in favor of Sharia? I don't understand why NATO is supporting.
It is very interesting. Gaddafi has Libyan oil costs $1 per barrel to produce, and the United States had preferential contracts already. The United States and France and Britain all had, they could take as much oil as they wanted, and most of the oil does not come to the United States. It does, however, go to Italy and France and Britain. So it's a major source of European oil, and yet what Gaddafi was doing was, Gaddafi also has gold. And I think it's very interesting that we have this major financial crisis, and now we're attacking a country that has both oil and a huge private reserve of gold on its own land, and like 500, I would have to double check this fact, but it's like 500 tons of gold in its bank vaults.
143.
143, I stand corrected. 143 tons of gold, correct? Something like that. And we're trying to take their gold and their oil. And it's so dirty, it's a dirty fight, and it's just...
Why would these radical fundamentalists want to let us have the oil and the gold once they win?
Well, you should be in Washington. That's the kind of thing that makes sense. But that's what they, the Americans are choosing to believe that they're going to have this sweetheart deal. And I am agreeing with you. I think that as soon as they get in, they're going to say, too bad. It's like, and privately, I get emails from some of these, because they know me, that they know that I'm out there. I'm against the rebels. And they do send me, I do get emails that are very nasty emails. And they said, do you really think we'll sell out and give you our gold for free? Do you really think we're going to do that? And I'm like, well, I think that Hillary Clinton thinks you're going to do it. And I think that David Cameron in Britain thinks you're going to do it. And also, I do have documentation that Israel has promised. I actually have an Israeli military document, okay, in Hebrew that I've had translated. And it says that the Israelis are, okay, this is just what it says, that this is a primary document, and I have, it says that Israel will provide financial support to the rebels in exchange for a military base in Libya, in the Green Mountains. And that they call it, the military base will be called 1 by 1. And the Green Mountains is close to where the gold is, which I find very interesting. So.
I just have a brief point about.
Okay.
There's one woman who's had her hand
Oh,
all night.
oh, okay. I'm sorry. Please.
And I'm a woman.
Okay, that's good.
Susan, I'm very interested in your constitution, how you're dealing with all of this. I've been really impressed with all the interviews I've heard, and how you seem to be like a really grounded, confident, yet buoyant person. And I don't know, just hearing what you have, like a sense of humor and this sense of irony. I like to think I have it, but how do people go through what you've gone through? Like all, are people we know being called into grand jury, being put into what's that detention called with
The communication center detention. That is a very scary
and
community.
Bradley Manning, like when it gets that bad, like how can we be sure that people can still stand up and talk like you are today?
Well, I'll tell you, when I was locked up in Carswell, I cried every day. And not when I first went in. I was there supposedly, when I first went in, I was told it was going to be 4 months and then I'd be released. And the first 4 months, I was okay. Because I was like, I'm going to get out of this, and I'm going to tell, and boy, am I going to have a story to tell, and they're not going to shut me up. But when they refused to release me, and I realized that I was not going home, and they said, and at that point, they dropped the bomb on me that they were trying to hold me indefinitely. And only when I thought I was going to be held indefinitely. And then that continued for another 8 months. I became absolutely terrified out of my mind. And I began to have very serious post-traumatic stress.
Well, you were saying you hadn't gone through depression before, and I was just wondering how...
I went through deep anxiety, and I was just, it was like my blood pressure was, the stress level was like, it was like a war. A constant war. I was so frightened. I actually colored my hair. Okay? My hair actually went white. And it